Hello friends and happy quarter 2. We are already 3 months into the year, and with being 3 months into the year, I am 3 months into my first adventures with non-TPT platforms. So in this video, we're gonna talk a little bit about the other platforms I've been experimenting with, kind of how it's going, my first initial thoughts with them, all of the money that they've been paying me so far, which is a whole discussion we'll have a little bit later. And it just kind of all of those things that go into selling on other platforms that are not TPT. So yeah, let's get into it. Timestamps below. So first of all, why are we doing this? So I don't know about you, but there's been a lot of things going on with TPT recently that have just made things a little bit wonky. And so with all those things going on, I've been a little bit like, maybe we should expand, maybe we should try something different. And you know, it's always nice to have a backup. I am not a fan of putting all my eggs in one basket in general, so I was excited about the idea of trying different platforms. And in addition to this, my biggest thing has been, I want what I already have to go further so that it's not like a ton of extra work for me to make more money off of the things that I'm already working on. So with all that being said, I have been selling on a few new platforms for the past couple months. I started, I think it was like January or December 28th was the day I posted the first thing, and I posted literally one thing on each one. So the ones that I decided to try out are Made by Teachers, Etsy, TES, Classful, and then Boom, which I was already on, but I hadn't touched it in honestly like a few years. So those are the platforms that I am currently on now, that I joined, that I started uploading to. And yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. So I'm gonna go take a seat and let's chat. Also, can we marvel at look at this beautiful lighting? This is with no lights on in my whole office, just the sunlight. It's so glorious because it's already 5:30 in the evening and we can film things with real light, and look how much of a difference it makes. You know, it's the little things. You gotta cling to those little things, because otherwise life will just get you down, and we don't want that. So let's go chit chat. Okay, on second thought, I'm not gonna go sit down because I left my tripod upstairs from filming packing vlog for our recent cruise, and I locked Nyla's squeaky toy in the bedroom. So if I go into the closet to get my tripod, she's gonna freak out, and there's gonna be a whole big thing trying to get the squeaky toy away. I'm trying with the squeaks. So we're gonna do the standing, and it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be fine. First of all, disclaimer, everything said in this video is my entire opinion and not particularly well informed, since I've only been doing this for about 3 months. So what I mean by that is that I might have a totally different opinion of a certain platform than somebody else. That might be due to my niche. That might be due to just I don't have the right things up yet. That might be just because it's only been 3 months, which is honestly not that long. But with all of that said, just take everything I say with a grain of salt. The other thing I want to say is that if you are new to TPT, I would not suggest going on other platforms yet, because if you're trying to upload onto TPT and figure TPT out and then also upload on a whole bunch of other platforms, that's gonna be super overwhelming and stressful, and I don't want that for you. So just worry about TPT for now, and you can do other things later on down the road if you so choose. All that being said, what I am doing, and kind of my plan going into this, has been to try to post 2 product lines each month. And just keep going and keep going each month until I have pretty much everything, or at least everything that's going to sell. Also, when looking at which product lines to go with, I am adding anything that's new is getting posted to all of the platforms, as well as I'm trying to go with my best sellers. So looking through my top 10 products and using those as a guide for what I should go with next. For the most part, I haven't followed that to a T, but just kind of as a general rule, that's kind of what I'm looking at, as well as anything that is new. Now with that, I am not optimizing for any of these. Literally all I want is the organic traffic that exists on these other platforms that maybe isn't on TPT. So people who are on Etsy but are not on TPT, people who are on Made by Teachers who are not on TPT. Those are the people I'm looking for. I am not promoting anything to these different websites. I am not linking anything to these websites. Like all my Pinterest pins are going to TPT and my blog. That's kind of where I'm at. I am not writing new descriptions. I am not making new thumbnails. Like I'm not doing any of those things. I am truly, truly just trying to repurpose what I already have going for me onto the new websites in order to hopefully make some money off of the organic traffic over there. So that being said, it hasn't gone quite as well as I had hoped. First of all, because I have not been able to post as much as I wanted to, because it was like, yeah, I'm gonna post 2 product lines a month. And then like I made a course, and if you've ever made a course, you'll know it is so much work. So the only thing that I have done in the past 6 weeks is work on this course. I worked on launching it. I worked on promoting it. I worked on, because I like did like a pre-sale situation, so I like sold it before I did it. So I have been knee deep in the trenches. I'm uploading the last things today. Everything is done. I just need to like post it, which is giving me life, which is why I can think about other things now. And so the reason I'm telling you that is because I have not done as well as I had hoped in posting products, and especially some of the newer products that I have posted, because I post them on TPT, I post them to all of the different platforms. And when I've done that, a lot of the products that I've posted this year to all the platforms have been seasonal, which is great, but it's also not great because now like those seasons are over and I don't have enough other stuff that people can purchase now. So that's a problem I'm looking at right now. So as I'm looking into April, May, and June, I want to go really hard on posting lots and lots of product lines, and specifically focusing on evergreen products. So things that are good all of the time. Like that's kind of my next quarter. What I'm really looking at is let's get lots of products up, and let's get lots of products up that people can use all the time. And then I can kind of top it off with those seasonal products. But for now, just focusing on the evergreen so I can have kind of like a base of what's going on. Let's talk about first impressions. So out of all of these, a couple of them I'm familiar with. So like boom cards I've been on. I did them for a while and I haven't really touched them for like 2 years. So that was the first thing that I was like, great, we can do boom cards. And I have to say, it has gone very well. I have been posting things onto boom cards that I already had ready from like Google Slides or task cards. There's just like repurposing again. And it has very much helped my boom store, because before it was going very, very slow because I didn't have that much on and I hadn't posted anything new in like years. So just adding new products to boom has made a huge difference in sales, both in new and in old things. Like I've had old things sell as well, even in, you know, kind of ramping up and adding more things. So that's been really exciting. I'm also familiar with Etsy, and oh, and if you're not familiar, Boom is like a whole separate thing. Like it's not just a platform where you can post like PDFs. It's like interactive slideshows essentially that you have to make on boomlearning.com. So it's very different from the other ones in that you can't just post whatever you want. It's going to be like very specific. So just FYI. Etsy is another one I'm very familiar with. I think most of us are probably familiar with Etsy. I've been using Etsy for years. I also have had Etsy stores, so I actually didn't even have to open a new store because I had a store called Becca's Music Room. However, on that store, I was selling physical things. I was making ukulele bags and recorder bags and stuff, and I actually ended up taking them all down a few months ago because they just got too overwhelming. But I was able to use that same store and just start uploading my digital products instead, so I didn't have to upload anything new. So that was nice. I'm very familiar with those. Made by Teachers, Classful, and TES I had no previous experience with at all. I just picked them out of the ones that I had heard of based on very little research. And so those are the ones I'm trying out. TES is, they have like, when you look at it, there's like a UK store and a US store when you look at your like payouts and stuff. And so I think it started in the UK, so it's a little more like familiar with like UK and Australia and all of those kind of things. So that's been an interesting, just kind of adjusting to that. And then Classful and Made by Teachers are just, I don't know, other websites similar to TPT. I will say in general, most of these, not Etsy, but like Made by Teachers and Classful are very clunky compared to TPT. Just, I think they're just newer. I haven't done enough research, like I can't tell you like when they were, you know, created, but I think they're newer and they definitely seem like it. One of them has ads on it, which I really don't like because they're really big ads, and I'm like, shouldn't you be advertising my products? Like, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. I really don't like that. I really don't like the Classful posting situation. Like when you go to post a product, I hate their interface. It's my least favorite of all of them. Etsy's interface and then TES's interface, those are actually pretty good. And one thing I like about TES is you can link to YouTube videos. So they don't have a spot for like a preview video, but you could like upload a preview video to YouTube and even make it unlisted and put the link there. But you can add links. So I have like a lot of my products I have videos about anyway. So I've been able to add those links, which has been really great. Yeah, so that's kind of my first impression is, you know, some are better than others. We're still trying to figure things out. The other first impression is, wow, it takes a long time to post products to 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 different platforms if you're posting something new to TPT. It takes forever. I did not think it was going to take that long because I'm like, oh, I'm using all the same photos, I'm using the same description, the same, like I'm using a lot of the same stuff. I change a little bit for SEO purposes, but for the most part, like I'm not coming up with all new stuff. It takes forever. And just adding all those extra things, it takes forever. So just FYI, like long term, I'm a little bit like, I don't know that I want to do all of these forever because wow, it takes a really long time to upload everything. And that's kind of annoying and stressful. I will say, since I did say that my plan is to do this for the whole year, regardless of the results. And then at the end of the year in December, I'll look and I'll say, okay, did I make enough money for it to be worth it to me to do this extra work? Do I want to use all the platforms? Do I want to drop some of the platforms, keep some of the platforms? Are none of them worth it? I don't know. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But I do want to leave it all year because it takes a good amount of time to create traction. Because when you are starting a new store, this really is a new store. It's not, oh, I already have TPT, so I already have like a whole thing set up. Even though you already have products and you're more familiar, like I know more about online stuff than I did, you know, years ago, but it's still starting over from zero. And you'll see that in a second when we talk about money. So just FYI, like a lot of people were really enraged a few months ago and talking about leaving TPT altogether and opening their Classful shops. And I'm like, okay, well, I make thousands of dollars on TPT, and you'll see in a second, I do not make that much on the other platforms. We're really restarting from zero. So if you are going to go to these other platforms, just FYI, it's gonna take a while to build up to what you're used to on TPT. Maybe you're not used to anything, that's fine. But if you are used to making like some decent money, it's kind of like, oh, well, that's fun. Which is partially because I don't have all my products up yet, but you know, there we are. So let's talk money. I need to double check. I need to add 2 more income. So let me pause real quick. All right, before we talk about money, I just want to give the disclaimer of every store is very different, and I teach music, which means that my people are very different from your people if you teach kindergarten or if you teach high school social studies, and where your people hang out is going to be very different. And I know that going in, so I went into all of this with the grain of salt of it's entirely possible that there are no music teachers on Made by Teachers or on Classful or on whatever, and so I might not sell anything, and that's okay, because if you don't know, then you're not going to try. You can talk to people, you can, you know, ask around and kind of get a feel for things, but the best thing to do is just honestly to try and see if it's going to, you know, be profitable for you and for your product. So I just want to put that out there because like music teachers, I always keep in the back of my mind that like piano teachers also need resources, and like homeschooled moms need music resources and things that might be very different from your people. So just FYI, you might have a totally different experience. I'm just sharing what I've got going on. All right, let's talk money. So in terms of like what I've done, honestly, it hasn't been too much. I have posted some products, posted some product lines. Some of them have been seasonal and some of them are already out of season. So they're already like not relevant anymore, which, you know, again, it's frustrating. Some of them are more evergreen. On Etsy, I did not make anything in January. In February, I made $13.50, which I feel like is all right. And then in March, I made $16. on Etsy. So for reference, on TPT, my first few months, like years ago, were, I think it was $7. Oh, I can look it up. Let's look it up. Let's not tell lies.
I'm sorry, Professor. I must not tell lies.
All right, my first month was $7. My second month was $9. And then my third month was $44 on TPT. Okay, so here we have 0, 13, which is better than 9, and then 16, which is much less than 44. On Made by Teachers, I only made sales in February. I made $6.80 in February. On TES, in February, I made $1.75. And then in May, I made 88 cents. And on Classful, I have made a whopping 0 so far, which I'm kind of like, you know, if Classful is gonna be not great, that might be okay, because I don't like their interface anyway. So that would be the one I would want to drop the soonest. So we'll see. And then on Boom cards, in January, I made $15. In February, I made $28.48. And then in March, I made $41.65. So that is where I'm at so far with all of these different platforms. Like I said, we are starting over from 0, and it really is like going back to the beginning, which can be frustrating, but I am determined to really stick with it, and I'm determined to try it out and just see how it goes. I'm especially determined, I will say, because I have, y'all might know, I have a Becca's Bible class TPT shop. I also have that on Etsy, and when I started posting them on Etsy, I did years ago just as a whim, like, I wonder if this will work, and I didn't see very much the first few months, but now Etsy and TPT for my Bible class are nose and nose, like they're almost exactly the same every month. And so I'm like, well, let's keep going and let's see, because you know, it's still really early. 3 months is really not that long in terms of business stuff. So really and truly, you need at least 6 months, but really like a good year to try stuff out to make sure it's gonna work. If you wanna do Pinterest, you gotta like commit to 6 months to a year. If you want to do TPT, you need to commit for 6 months to a year. Like if you wanna do something in your business, you really need to do it and commit for an extended period of time to, you know, see any products. So all that to say, I'm not leaving TPT anytime soon. Actually, I'm not planning to leave TPT at all unless something like totally crazy happens. But I just wanted some stuff as a backup, and you know, that's what, 30, 40, that's what, $40 that I wouldn't have had before. Yay. Plus the Boom card money. So, you know, it's money that I wouldn't have had anyway on products that I already made anyway, which is my biggest thing. So we're trying it out, we're seeing, and just, you know, seeing how things go. Now, as far as like my next steps and things I'm looking at next, I'm going to continue putting products up. I'm going to do a lot better. I have a lot less big projects planned for the rest of the year. The Centers course kind of took it out of me. So I'm not doing as many of those things, which means I'll have more time to spend on posting products. Specifically, summer's coming up and I want to post like a lot of products over the summer and just get them up there. That's something easy I can do while I'm sitting and watching TV with some iced coffee in my hand and just, you know, having a nice peaceful afternoon. So getting lots of products up and really focusing on evergreen products and also like my core products, like my most important, my best sellers, all of those kind of things, so that I can get those up and selling as quickly as possible, because if they sell in TPT, they might sell in other ones. And then the other next step, which you might be excited about, is I think I've decided I am gonna open a store on my own website. I have always known that I wanted to do that like eventually, but I wasn't planning on doing it now because one, the thought of doing all that really overwhelmed me, and two, the whole sales tax thing is a whole can of worms. But I figure if other people can figure it out, I can probably figure it out. And as far as like it being overwhelming, I was like, I'm already putting the products onto these other platforms, so I might as well put them onto my store as well. And so, and there's a lot of benefits. We can talk about that later. I am going to be meeting sometime in the next month or two with a lady who's local here, and she works on small businesses opening up their websites and helping them with that. So she's gonna like help me with that, and we'll see. It might be a summer project. I might, you know, meet with her and be like, oh, this is too much, we're not gonna do this. We'll just see. So I don't know, that's kind of my next steps coming up. But yeah, so you know, I wish I could be like, look how amazing all of these things have been, but really it's not. So that's the reality of life, friends. But thank you guys for watching. I would love to know if you are on any other platforms and how they're doing. And also when you talk about how they're doing, add what your niche is, because different niches are very different. So just let us know like kind of your thoughts and opinions, especially if they differ from mine, because it's very different depending on what you sell and all of that. So let me know your thoughts down below. Also, next week's video is gonna be about posting on Etsy. Even though I haven't made amazing progress, I do have, you know, my other Etsy shop that does make quite a bit more money than that on a consistent basis. So I am very familiar with Etsy. So we're going to talk about that next week. So if you want to do that, then hit the subscribe button and I'll see you then.